it's Dave here. Welcome to the Wizard's Tower. And I got another fun boxing for you guys today. You know, I've mentioned in the past that my go-to deck is the Wizard's Tarot. This is the deck that speaks the most to me. I have 3 of these decks, the same exact decks, just, you know, a deck that I use for active readings, a backup deck, and Matt actually came across this deck. I've been kind of looking for these. I just like these cards so much. I want to have like 20 decks of them. I just love these cards so much. So we're gonna do a fun boxing of them. You know, and if you saw my last video, what is a fun boxing? I told you what a fun boxing was, because that was the first fun boxing. It's not a true unboxing. It's technically a walkthrough. It's a walkthrough, but I call it a fun boxing because this is pretty much a new deck. I haven't really. They have been shuffled, but I haven't used them. But so it's a walkthrough, really. But fun boxing sounds better. So this is okay. Well, the first thing is, so this is the deck here, right? This is the front of the box and the back of the box. Now I've seen this deck in 2 different flavors. In this flavor, and also I had purchased my first Wizard's Tower deck was actually in a big kit, kind of like kind of like the Starman Tarot. But this one here, it's in a small box. So let's crack into this. So this deck always gets me excited. So again, standard fare. Open up the box. You have a little booklet. Let's see how many pages. It doesn't have page numbers on, so I don't know how many pages. But it's your typical tarot booklet. Tells you about the cards and some info in there. It's good reading, a good guide to reading the cards, even though these cards I read very intuitively. It's the way these cards speak to me. I look straight into the images, and that's how I get my meanings. So anyways, let's get into this fun boxing. I'm going to open this box up here, and I like to kind of plop them back in the box as I fun box. So we'll put that box over there. Not that you can see them. All right, let's see what we've got first on this deck. Oh, it's such an exciting deck. So first and foremost, let me show you now what the back of the card looks like. Right, it's just so just magical when you look at the back of that card. Almost looks celestial. It's a very beautiful back. So without further ado, let's get into these cards. So this here is the Initiate. The Initiate is basically this deck's version of the Fool card. And I have to say, I went back and I viewed my Starman Tarot and realized I used the term Joker. Yeah, that was kind of a faux pas. It was the Fool card. I believe the Alien card. But anyways, this is the Initiate, which is the Wizard's Tarot Fool card. And this so speaks to me just with the imagery. I see the Initiate, and this card, it's a girl, and you can tell just like what the Fool meaning is. She is starting off on her new adventure. She's got a little sack there with her belongings in. She's surrounded by, she's got a bunny. She's, out in the woods, surrounded by, like fruit on the trees. She's just like the Fool. She's heading out on her journey. And that's how I read these cards. I can read these so well. I believe the major arcana are not in order. because I did shuffle these, and I did try to get some sort of order back in. I got the suit cards in order, but anyways, here's the Magician card. Again, look at that card. I'm sorry. That's the card, the Magician card. It's just speaks to me, these images. This is the Empress. And you look at this Empress card. We were watching a live video about some cards, and there was a discussion of the Empress. And, you know, this Empress card, it just resonated with me, because now you look at this Empress card, and right off the bat, when you look at that image, I see, you know, the Empress, kind of a motherly figure. She has plenty. She's got, you know, all the flowers around her. Just very homey, caring. You know, there's butterflies and pixies flying about her head. It just really speaks Empress. Without even knowing what this card is, I can kind of block the bottom, and I would be able to tell you that this is the Empress card, because the imagery just says it, you know? I don't know if that makes sense. I just read these cards so intuitively with the imagery. And again, here's the Emperor card. Again, it just looks very, you know, he's looking straight at you, not judging, but, you know, almost like, hey, you know, get your attention. And he's like getting serious. He needs a serious, kind of like an emperor. He's the ruler, and he's like, hey, we need to talk about something. You know, there's some sort of serious matter ahead of you. The Hierophant, love this Hierophant card. Right, he's kind of like it looks like he's a centaur of sorts. Studying the book there. That's the Hierophant. And I love the Lover's card. It's almost very academic or Hogwarts-ish or something like that. You see the two lovers. Now, I know in a lot of the Lovers cards I've seen in the past, it's just two. But what's interesting about this card is you got the couple sitting down, you know, at what I would assume is a desk, and you have you know, just a spiritual woman, could be the Earth Mother, just blessing the union of these two people as they study, which puts it into a really interesting perspective. But that's the Lover's card. The Chariot. Again, right, the Chariot means, you know, going somewhere or a trip or whatever. But if you look at this card, the Chariot is a witch on a broomstick, which also conveys that travel message, but in a witch wizard sort of way. And you can see she's on her trip on the broom, flying across the sky already on her way, traveling. This is the Strength card. Now, I love this card for strength. When you look at this image, you have a woman, which, you know, she looks very kind. I don't want to say docile, but you know, kind. One of those people you would say, I don't want to say the opposite of strong, but like sweet, innocent, kind, caring. But she's caring for a dragon, which to me means strength, right? She's got the beast tamed, and she's petting him on the nose and feeding him. You know, it's just an interesting take on strength, right? And I love the Hermit card, right? Hermit, he's up in the library. He's right. What does the Hermit card mean? It means to withdraw and ponder an issue or think or reflect. And, you know, you look at this Hermit, he's up in a library, probably getting some books, or he needs to reflect on something and study and figure something out. What better place to figure something out but in a library? Just fantastic. And it's how this imagery speaks to me. Again, the Wheel of Fortune. It's one of my favorite cards, but you look at this, it's not your typical wheel. It's a spinning wheel, like a spinning wool into thread or whatever you do with those spinning wheels. It's a spinning wheel, but it's painted. If you look closely, it's it's got the runes on them, on it, as your typical Wheel of Fortune. Again, a very interesting take on the whole wheel card. Excuse me, but conveying that message of the wheel in such a with the imagery, justice. There's another justice card. Now you see the woman. She's got the scales in front of her, and she's excuse me. I try to hold it straight. She's placing an item on the side of the scale. It just speaks to me like I'm weighing something out. That action of placing onto the scale means I, as the person or this card, I'm judging, I'm weighing options. It's not just looking at a scale, but it's weighing that option, right? She's weighing her option, right? That's how that card speaks to me. Okay, the Hanged Man. I love this card, and I had mentioned if you saw my previous Wizard's Tower, I don't want to say a walkthrough. It was just kind of like a show and tell because I didn't show all the cards. But if you look at this, okay, well, this doesn't look like the Hanged Man. But then you look closer at the picture, and what do you see? It's hard to make it out, but the Hanged Man is in that picture. Just a very interesting take on the Hanged Man. When I see this card, I see, again, kind of withdraw to thinking, but he's kind of feeding birds there. There's so many meanings you can get out of this card. It could be solitude, focusing on loved ones, right? Withdrawing as a group. There's so many meanings I get from that card. Transfiguration. Now, the Transfiguration is the Wizard's Tower version of the Death card, right? Death means change, right? The Death card means the end of something, the start of something new. Well, I love how they went with a Transfiguration card because that literally means to end and to start something new, to change into a different thing, if you would, right? Almost literal meaning of that Death card, but in a Transfiguration. Here's the Alchemist card. I'm going to try to go through these. It's the Alchemist card. The Dark Lord. Now this is in place of the Devil card, right? We're going to call it the Dark Lord. Again, looks very similar to the Devil card, except from a lot of the Devil cards that I've seen, the Devil was literally the devil and not a humanoid. When you look at this card, he's a humanoid, but he's still devilish, and he still, has the control with the two, I guess they look like frogs or toads or something, on that leash, keeping them in control, and the sinister look upon his face. It gets that Devil card meaning across, but with a Dark Lord card. One of my favorite cards in this deck, and I wish I had another card to compare it to, but this is also going to be the inspiration of an idea that Matt and I had with kind of comparing some of the differences card for card between different decks. Now, typically when you read the Tower card, a lot of them convey chaos, destruction, and all of that. But when I look at this Tower card, now take a quick look at that. Look at this for a minute. And I do get the chaos, I do get the storm, but the tower card, the tower itself in this card is very different. So this card could also mean weathering the storm. A big storm's coming, but you're going to make it through. There's no destruction because the tower is standing strong. If you look at it, you even see a figure up in the tower, and he's just probably casually looking out the window at the storm. You know, kind of, you ever look out the window when there's a thunderstorm, you're looking at the rain and the thunder and the lightning, you're just looking, you know, you're safe in your home. Well, that's what this card really conveys to me. That chaos is coming, the storm is coming, but you can withstand it, right? The star card. They're very typical of star cards I've seen in other decks, but again, with the Wizard's Tarot Flare, sorry. I'm not very good at holding these up. But there's your star card. Right, nothing, you know, it just great imagery. I see females studying maps. Again, maybe tying into travel or some celestial matters, right? It could be a star chart she's looking at. A lot of different meanings you can pull. And when I do my readings with these cards, like I say, I read intuitively, and I usually always do a Celtic cross spread. And depending on where these cards sit next to each other, it just can convey, it just conveys great meaning to me. Okay, and this is the moon card. So that's pretty similar to other moon cards, right? We know what the moon card is. But this is the Wizard's Tower version of the moon card, right? Let's go here. And here's the sun. Again, the sun card, right? Okay. And now we have our High Priestess card. Right, I love this High Priestess card. She's sitting up in, you know, maybe her palace or tower, wherever she sits. You know, she's by a window and the moon, big, bright, full moon shining down over her. Great High Priestess card. And, you know, and that moon also puts, you know, the I don't want to say the spiritual aspect, but there's a higher power, celestial, you know, with the moon out there just so big and bright, right? And I also noticed that she's got a candle and a feather, a couple of elements there, right? Let's pull this card back out, because I almost skipped over that, but right, she has some elements on her table. She's got a feather, and she's got a candle, and I'm not too sure what that is she's holding. Could be a piece of paper, could be something, right? But that's our High Priestess. The Judgment card. Again, Judgment, and you see folks sitting down. Right, they're sitting before what would be probably the panel of judges, right? So they're being judged. That's where that judgment comes in. You need to make that judgment, or being judged, right? The World card, very magical. You see the woman. She's kind of got the world kind of on a table there, and she's kind of presiding over the world, or almost like she's casting a spell on the world. It's something, even though it's a flat world. Reminds me of, you gotta Google Flat Earth Society, see what that's all about. There are these people who still believe that the world is flat. So that kind of reminds me of that. All right, now we're going to get into, the suits. And we're going to start right out with the Ace of Cups. Right, we all know that the ace can mean new beginnings. And what I see here, yeah, I see kind of a mermaid. She could be jumping out of the cup or jumping over the cup. But and the cup is so prominent right there in the center of the card. It just speaks it speaks a new beginning in the suit of cups, right? the Two of Cups. Right, and I believe Two of Cups, I mean, two means balance achieved. But like, you look at this card here, you see the two people, could be a couple, could be friends. But almost like a toast is going on. They've achieved something, and they're toasting it. Right, and there's two of them, so that could infer balance, right? And as funny as Three of Cups, it's kind of a very similar card. If you have three people, again, raising their cups. But they also have, you know, some ingredients before them. So maybe, you know, it's a holiday and they're going to cook or something like that. But they have some vegetables in front of them. Very interesting take. And then I love my Four of Cups. Now this card speaks to me. Like I said, I read this deck intuitively, but here you have someone, you know, the boy sitting there under the tree. He's looking like he's lost the world. But what's funny, he's got three cups right in front of him. Can he not see them? Is there like something kind of either preoccupying him or something like that, where he has it before him and he's looking right at it, but just doesn't see the cups there or what's in them. It's kind of can't see the forest before the trees. Five of Cups. Now we're getting into more chaotic, right? We see this woman here. She's got cups, but they've all spilled. Well, not all of them, but some of them, they're going into the water. All of whatever was in those cups have kind of spilled back into the earth. Or maybe that's by design to replenish the earth. It could mean that as well. But it looks to me more like a spill. Right, because she's not pouring them. I've seen other cards similar to this where there's pouring, but this looks more like it was kind of kicked over. Now we have our Six of Cups, right? A little different. There's 6 cups there, but they've got flowers in them. And again, you got, looks like 2 kids playing in the garden, right? That's that 6 of Cups. And, you know, and that could be, there's a lot of meanings I could get out of that. Let me grab under here. I have a book that I kind of, I've spoken on this book in the past. It's the grimoire for the Apprentice Wizard. And sometimes I refer to this. It's got a simplified method of the literal meanings of the cards. And I just wanted to hop in here and see with 6. So 6 means harmony, according to this guy. And yeah, you can see that in this card. Harmony. It looks like, you know, just 2 kids playing in the garden, just enjoying themselves. Kind of like blissfully playing. The innocence of kids, of children. This is the 7 of Cups. Now, 7 can mean endings. I don't get the literal meaning out of this card. This card, I get, when you look at the boy down in the bottom, he looks like he's almost way or kind of suspending. Maybe it's a spell to have the cups float in air. Or maybe it's figuratively in his mind. But what I notice from this card is that it's all organized, right? He's got a lot going on, maybe a lot on his mind, right? You don't have to take these cards figuratively, but he's got it all compartmented. He's got it all worked out. This card could mean, you know, you've got a lot going on in life, a lot going on right now, but keep the course, because it's all going to work out. And just stay strong and keep everything organized, or you're going to lose yourself in it. And it could have all of those meanings. The 8 of Cups. Again, 8, I believe, typically means balance, achieved. Again, I don't get that from this card. Here, I see someone kind of turning away. This card may mean that you need to turn away from something, change course even. You know, maybe what you were hoping for, your cups, maybe that's not really what's for you, right? You need to go in a different direction. It's what that card speaks to me when I see that intuitively. Nine of Cups. Nine's typically, I believe, associated with success, and that's what this card conveys, right? We have a toast going on. There's a bunch of cups on the table, and we have a girl who's succeeded at something, and you know, she's got that cup toasting. You know, cup being, you know, emotional concerns, love. Could even mean, you know, maybe an engagement party. You know, because the cups, right? Isn't that emotional love concerns, right? Could mean that, but again, it depends on the context of where the card falls in my spread when I read these. This Ten of Cups, I've always gotten from this card, it's almost like a have faith sort of thing. I believe 10, according to my guide, means completion. Again, it could mean that, depending on where it falls in the spread, but I get like this look into the stars. And when I see all the cups over there, I can't help, you know, seeing the cups floating in the air. It's almost like, to me, like almost like a faith sort of thing. You know, look into the heavens, if you would. If you would. Now we have the Page of Cups. Right, and again, cups is, you know, kind of emotional and love concerns. And I see a lovely lady. She's, you know, has birds flying. She's, you know, she's so lovely that the creatures fly up to her. They're her friends, and, you know, and she's kind of petting them and sharing what's in the cup with them, maybe. Just kind of a caring going on with that card. The Knight of Cups. The Knight, I see a strong male in the future there. And again, it's a knight, but he's got his cup up. But also, don't be fooled, because yes, he's toasting you maybe, but he's got his spare. It could mean someone's going to go to bats for you, to battle for you. Someone's got you. He's toasting you, but he's ready to fight, to help you fight your battles, right? So it kind of means the knight, he's on your side in those concerns. Queen of Cups. So here's our Queen of Cups. Right? She's underwater. I love how she's underwater. And again, very similar to some of the previous cards. She's got all the fish around her. She's the queen. She's, you know, the strong woman. But strong, but also gentle, because the fish are, you know, swimming around her, right? She's not scaring them away. It could be, you know, a strong but gentle figure. Now we have the King of Cups. Now he's a very strong, stern man. Not so gentle, even though he does have the fish around him. But if you notice here, the fish are facing forward from him, almost like they're with him, traveling with him, but more in the same direction, as if to be ruled by him, maybe, right? Now we're going to move on to Pentacles. I love this Ace of Pentacles, right? Now we just have a straight up winter scene, and that could mean, right, the beginning of a new season, the beginning of winter, the beginning of, you know, so Pentacles, that's material concerns, wealth, you know, that's the starting of that. You see this card, and it's a beautiful winter scene, and we always think, you know, winter is, you know, with snow on the ground, very magical, You know, that's the beginning of that. We have the Two of Pentacles. The Two of Pentacles. Right, that's right. The two is balance required. I believe I said balance, but I didn't say the required. So two typically means balance required. And yeah, that's the Two of Pentacles. And you see, again, you see this guy. He knows he needs to balance or juggle those two pentacles, right? And he's doing it. Balance required, and he's kind of juggling them. The Three of Pentacles, right here. So three, typically, I believe, is associated with growth, and that could be, right? And you see the young boy in front of two, I want to say older people. I'm not going to say parents, because it could be like older siblings or something like that, but they're two older people behind him. And he's kind of looking like he's, you know, holding his pentacle there, just kind of looking to the side, trying to figure what the next step, what is he doing next? He needs to figure out where the next direction he's going in. The Four of Pentacles. Now, four, typically, let me see what four means. Stability. And I guess you can get that. He's sitting on a strong chair. He's got a pentacle on his head, and he's balancing that it's not falling. And he also has two under his feet. So he's kind of got himself covered with pentacles on all ends, and then he's holding one on a big, stable chair. And if you look at the legs of the chair, right, there's two lions. I believe they're lions. Just a card of stability. So Five of Pentacles. It's this one right here. Right, I see a lot of uncertainty in this card here. I see two people out in the cold, wrapped up in blankets. Maybe they're uncertain of, where they're going to end up. Where who knows? Maybe they're homeless, and there's a lot of uncertainty in their life. Could mean that. Again, we have the Six of Pentacles. Well, not again, but we have the Six of Pentacles here. I'm going to try to move along. I can speak for days on these cards. And this is the Seven of Pentacles. Right? We have the Eight of Pentacles. This, I see a working in progress in this card. Even though 8 means balance achieved, I still see in here he's got a little more work to do. So maybe that means you're going to get your balance, but you got to kind of work for it. Could mean that. All right. All right, we'll look at this Nine of Pentacles right here. Lovely card. The Ten of Pentacles. Right. The Page of Pentacles. We see, in this card also we see someone embarking on a journey. He's got a staff and his satchel, and it could mean maybe he's leaving, maybe he's completed a task and he's moving on, but he's looking back too. So maybe he's prematurely moving on. Maybe he's prematurely moving on. Sorry, I keep looking at this book. Just put this over here. So we can do this more organized. Sorry about that. But yeah, so maybe he's right. He's going away, but I think he's unsure of his next move. Could be some uncertainty there with the Page. All right, the Knight. Knight typically means ambitious person or bringer of change. I see a little different in this card. I see more humbling. Right, he's down on one knee with his staff there. Maybe a very humble knight, right? And we've got the Queen of Pentacles, right? She's there in her throne, and she's got something on her mind. She's got the fist under her chin, and you know, it means Queen typically means an important woman. In this case, right, again, Pentacles is material concerns, wealth, health. She's a little stern there, but very important woman there, Queen. I get a little bit of somberness from the Queen, and also the King. This is the King of Pentacles. Again, an important man in you know, the material concerns, wealth, and all that. And he's, you know, he's got there's something weighing on his mind as well. All right, we're going to move on to the swords. This is the Ace of Swords. Right, again, Ace, new beginnings. We see a fairy flying off behind the sword. Maybe she's embarking on, maybe she's a new fairy, right? Maybe her wings just sprouted and she's like, oh, I'm flying through the air like a fairy. Two of Swords. Now, when I'm looking in the book here, balance required, I guess I can get that from this card. You see a blindfolded person. So there's some uncertainty there. She can't see. So she requires sight or assistance in sight or something like that, you know, because she's blindfolded. This is the Three of Swords. Three usually is associated with growth. I see three swords piercing a heart. This to me, when it comes up in my readings, can mean broken-heartedness. You know, because that's still literal. It's almost like I don't want to say a sadness card, but you know, a heart card. And swords are usually political concerns, willpower, struggle, stuff like that. So that kind of could tie in with that Three of Swords, right? 'Cause, you know, three typically is growth, but I'm not getting that from that card. But to each his own when you read intuitively. Four of Swords, again, four being a stability, and again, yeah, I see a figure lying on a table, maybe taking a nap because he looks like he's studying. Might have needed to rest his eyes, but again, on a nice stable table. Or who knows? Maybe he took a bite out of a poison apple, and you know, he's in that sleep-like state, waiting for a kiss. Could be, could be. This Five of Swords. Five again usually indicates uncertainty. Again, I see the need to gather. You need to. In this card, I see you need to gather stuff up. Gather your thoughts, maybe. Gather possessions. Who knows? Maybe you need to pack because you're going on a trip. Depends on where in the spread this comes up. But I see this gathering, this need to bring stuff into organization. The Six of Swords. Six is usually a harmony, associated with harmony. I see this again. It's a travel card for me, and you see the two figures in a boat, and kind of a mysterious figure, kind of moving them along. Or it could be maybe a romantic boat ride. Doesn't really look it with like the fog on the water, but you know, so that's the Six of Swords, all right? Seven of Swords. When this comes up in a reading, I immediately am drawn to hoarding, right? Seven typically is associated with endings, but that could be indicated by the need to hoard, right? Something could be coming to an end and you're trying to hold on to it, right? He's hoarding up his swords, if you would. Eight of Swords, and I go 8 usually means balance achieved. Again, with this card, when this comes up in a spread, I see another blindfolded figure. This is a trapped card. Whenever I see this in a spread, I immediately sense a sense of, feeling of being trapped, because that's what it's conveying to me by the imagery, right? It's a trapped card. This lady's trapped, and again, swords, right? Could be, could indicate struggle. She's definitely struggling. She's all wrapped up in, let me put this up one more time. She's all wrapped up in, she's blindfolded, wrapped up in ribbon. So there's definitely a trapped struggle card. That's what it speaks to me. The 9. Now 9 typically equates to success. Definitely not what I'm getting from this card. This is another emotion card for me. I see sadness. I see someone crying. So when this comes up in a spread, it could be a warning card that there's going to be some, a sad period with relation to this card. So I read intuitively. 10 of Swords. 10 usually meaning completion. That could be that here. I mean, it definitely is the completion of this guy's life, because he's got 10 swords sticking out of him. So it could mean that. Depending on where it comes in the spread, it could mean danger ahead, right? There's a lot of different ways you can take this. Well, not so many different ways, a few different ways. And it's a pretty vivid card. This guy, yeah, there's an end there. Him. Onto the Page of Swords. Right, I'll try to hold this straight. I'm just not good at it. And now when you see that card, again, Page typically meaning a youthful figure, bringer of news. Again, he definitely is bringing something. See that young guy up in the tree? He's got his sword, almost like he's hunting. Is he up in a tree hunting? Maybe he's going to bring food, something like that. Bring plenty. I mean, there's a lot it could mean, but it definitely speaks that to me. So, a young, youthful figure bringing, maybe even bringing the sword. Who knows? Looks more like he's hunting. Next card is the Knight of Swords. Knights always are ambitious. And this is almost like a pixie knight. He's kind of flying through the air. Very ambitious. Typically, knights are bringers of change. That's possible here with this card, depending on where it falls. But yeah, I see. Again, I see a serious, ambitious person coming before us. The Queen of Swords. Queens usually, again, mean important woman. Ruling, queens are ruling. When I see this one, she's different. She's looking away, almost not interested. It could mean that you're not ready for something. You need to do something to get her attention. Because she's not, you don't have her attention. You need to what's the word? Get her attention, if you would. And what's funny is now we have the King of Swords, and it's very similar. He's not looking at you. He's not. He's preoccupied with something else. It could be, try harder or something of that nature. Right now we're going to move on to Wands. This here is the Ace of Wands. Right, new beginnings. I see You know what that is? Oh, like energy and fire emanating from that wand. Could be the birth of that wand, you know? Could mean new magic, something like that, right? It's the Ace of Wands. Two of Wands. Now, two usually means balance required. Remember the last two is very similar. He's achieving his balance. He's working at it. He's maybe practicing a spell with that little, I guess it's a ball of fire in front of him. So he needs to work at something. It's achievable, but he's got to practice, right? He's practicing his spells. Three of Wands. Three typically associated with growth. She looks like, again, she's looking maybe out at the sailboat in the distance. It could mean, you know, she's maybe observing something from afar. Maybe longing. Maybe she wants to be out on the water. It could be. But she's definitely looking like she has to move on. Wants to go somewhere. That was the Three of Wands. Four of Wands. Right. Again, 4 is usually associated with stability, but again, this doesn't. This card doesn't speak that to me. I see someone in a serious discussion. There's a serious discussion that needs to take place. Could be an argument, but it's a serious discussion. He's, you know, the gentleman's pleading his case, I guess, to the woman in the card, and it could be, you know, a life partner. It could be someone at work. It could be a lot of different things. A sister. Right? Five of Wands. 5 is usually associated with uncertainty, but when I see this, I almost see a group of magic students all together making a fire with their wands. A creation card, but a cooperation card, right? That's what I see. I see a need to cooperate with your fellow wizards, if you would, in the card. You know, but what I mean is almost like a cooperation needed card, right? This is the 6 of Wands, right? I see, you know, someone teaching a crowd, could be performing in front of a crowd or addressing a crowd. And that could mean that you need to take lead, take control in a situation, be the leader. That's what that card speaks to me intuitively. 7 of Wands. I see someone needing to fight a battle. He's got an angry mob, if you would, coming at him with torches, and he's taking a defensive posture, right? So I see here, you know, batten down the hatches, put up your defenses, be cautious, and fight for what you believe in. That's what I see in that card. 8 of Wands. This one's an interesting card, and it's very hard. This is a tough card for me to read intuitively. Now, we know that, you know, 8 is typically balance achieved, but yeah, again, it's just not something I get from this card. I get almost like wands taking off into the heavens and a castle in the background. That's the 8 of Wands, and that could mean it could be, yeah. This one's a tough one. This is a tough one to read. I'm gonna gotta skip by that one because that one's one that depends on its context of what it's next to. 9 of Wands. 9's typically a success, and I see someone who's, you know, she's got her wands. Is that a she? Could be. Yeah, it could be a he. And a little, yeah, I think that's a he actually. And he's got his wands all set up around him, and he's, I don't want to say a defensive, more of not a defensive posture, but a posture of, okay, I've set my camp up here, and I'm going to stay here and be with it. You know, hold my own, if you would. It could mean success. You know, hey, I did it. I've got all my my 9 wands all standing up on their own. You know, with this, the 10 of wands, again, another gather card. 10 typically meaning completion. Could be that. Now he did whatever he needed to do with all his wands. Now he's got to gather them up, and he's kind of heading home, if you would. Could mean that. It could mean another horde card, you know, or it could be struggling to contain, because he's, you know, he's got a lot to carry. It could mean that, you know, he's got a lot going on, a lot to carry. We have our Page of Wands. There's our Page of Wands. Youthful, you know, a youth affecting you, bringer of news. And again, this one really could be a bringer of news card, right? She's got a piece of, you know, rolled up parchment under her arm, and she's got the torch, and she's definitely going somewhere. Could be bringing some news, right? I get a bringer of news card, bringer of news vibe from that card. The Knight of Wands, another kind of traveling, maybe going to bring news. I don't see him carrying anything, but could be in his pocket, and he's kind of making his way through a cave, if you would. A tough journey. This news in this card came, you know, not easy. Definitely traveled some rough terrain to get here. And we have our Queen of Wands, and again, a strong woman. I see a strong woman opposing, again, needing to get attention because she's looking to the side. But she's standing, so she's, you know, she's not going to let you by until you do get her attention. Kind of a little different than getting the attention of the other queens, if you would. This is the King of Wands. Now this, when I see this, I see a powerful wizard creating magic. It could be, it really, I know wands are spiritual concerns, right? That's the air element, spiritual concerns. So this could mean someone bringing some magical knowledge, some spiritual knowledge to you. So yeah, that's our King of Wands. So that's the Wizard's Tarot. And this is, it's definitely a deck that speaks to me, and I do, you know, some readings with these cards, and I've done some pretty good readings, so I've been told. And but that's my Wizard's Tarot. These are the cards that I really love so much. Let me know what you think of the Wizard's Tarot. I know that this video, 54 minutes, and I don't even know how much I'm going to edit out of this. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't bore you to tears. But it's just, I get so excited about this deck of cards. I really do. It's the only set of cards that I have 3 copies of. Because I really can do some good readings with them. I hope to actually bake them out and do some readings for folks. Let me know what you think. I'd be willing to, I know someday I'd love to have enough subscribers to do some live stuff. I would love to do some live readings. I believe I mentioned in one of my previous videos that Matt and I are going to take I'm going to take this deck, and he has one of his favorite decks, and we're going to start doing discussions on the cards. And part of that is driven by our wish to kind of learn the literal meanings, like the textbook meanings. And I know I mentioned this book in the past, this grimoire for the apprentice wizard. It's kind of the book I go to it's written in a way that it really simplifies things, right? And it's got a really fantastic section on tarot. And what I really like, and hopefully I can show this, is that it really simplifies the meanings. And that's what I was looking at. Because I'll be honest, I don't have this stuff all memorized. I've been working with cards for a while, but only intuitively. The witch that actually introduced all of this to me, especially tarot, said that, you know, she had a different approach to tarot. She says, don't worry about memorizing the cards, because if you get a deck of cards that speaks to you, those images are going to tell that story. And it served me well, but I think I'm at the point where I've got to kind of get that that literal meaning memorized if I'm going to have any credibility here. You know, so that's kind of what Matt and I are hoping to achieve by our project. Again, I don't know how it's going to shape up. Kind of thinking that we'll probably do that on his channel and just kind of give credit over here, which is good. It might generate some traffic for me, but more so, we don't want to kind of have a series bouncing from channel to channel to channel to channel. It might be a little confusing, and we want you guys to kind of see what we have to talk about, because it's fascinating when you take the same card from two different decks and put those side by side. But anyways, thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed this fun boxing of the Wizard's Tarot. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Down there, I think the buttons are. Have yourself a blessed day.